Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome to another episode of DevRel Show. Always happy to be here. It's a little bit early for me in the morning. It's usually when I start my day, but it's not that early actually. It's usually the time I start my day. So, I just woke up not long ago, full of energy, ready to do the live stream instead of like usually most of the time that's going to be meeting because our team are a little bit distributed. So usually most of my meetings happen in the morning. So yeah, happy to be here. Always happy to have amazing guests too, which is no different today. I have Boaz with me. How are you?
Good, Fred. Good. I like the music at the beginning. Good energy.
I like it. I was looking for something that had a little bit of energy, and I found that Creative Commons music at the beginning. And usually, I always dance like when the music is coming, and like it's just not that I need to be pumped out. I'm usually someone who is just excited, and when I do those things, I have like a lot of energy. But that music just had a little bit of like, let's get the thing started and do that live stream.
Let's get started.
Exactly. So, first question for you: who are you?
So I'm Boaz. I'm a developer advocate for many years from Tel Aviv, Israel. Until a month ago, I was part of the AWS DevRel team in EMEA. I was the developer advocate for Israel for many years. And in the last few years, I've been managing the team in EMEA, the AWS DevRel team in EMEA. I was actually doing DevRel before joining AWS. I just didn't know that. I wasn't aware that this is actually what I'm doing. But when I joined AWS back in 2016, 17, I think, I basically started doing that full time. But I always enjoy this part of bridging between technology and the users of the technology, creating content, talking on stages. I always liked it. I've been writing my own blog since, I think, 2011 or something like that, like many years ago.
Actually, I'm sharing it right now.
Disclaimer, it's in Hebrew, so use Google Translate if you want to read the articles. I'm still writing there, not as much as I want to, but I still post there from time to time. Topics that I just found interesting or things I'm working on, so I'm sharing with people. And right now I'm starting a new phase in my career, doing a lot of different things, working on a new startup, building stuff for me for DevRel, and I starting to do more of something I really enjoy, and this is mentoring technical speakers. Nice. And this is something I've been doing as part of the work with the local community for many years. And right now I find a bigger need, especially in startups and smaller companies, to bridge the gap between their great, amazing idea that they just developed and how people are actually using it or how developers are integrating it into their day-to-day. So I've been doing that, I won't say full-time. I'm trying to rest a bit to slow down, but I'm spending a lot of time on SpeakUp. This is the business I'm starting that is helping technical people to tell a better story.
That's amazing. Like you said, so many interesting things that I'm like, okay, for once, and like I just opened VS Code and I was trying to take notes of things that I wanted to come back because like there's so many things I want to come back that resonate with me. Let me just add a comment about like, when you said like you were doing developer relation, even before doing developer relation or actually being paid to do that. I think that's the story of like many people. Like that was certainly my story where I was starting to speak at conferences and I started to organize a meetup and I started to blog. And I did not know I could be paid to do that. Like in my mind, I was just doing that because I like to do those things, because I like to share and help other people. And give back to the community. So all those things, I was doing them on my free time until I went to an event, and there were those Microsoft, they were called technical evangelists or developer evangelists at the time, and that was their title. And I was like, oh, what the heck is that? And I talked to them, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're being paid to do most of the things I do on my free time for fun, which it depends on how you see it. Maybe you still want to continue to do it just for fun and not being paid for it, so it does not become a job. But for me, I was like, no, I want to continue to do it and still have fun. But like, if there's a way for me also to get paid to do those kind of things, that would be nice. But that was at a time where the role was still not super popular. So I was really amazed as like, oh my God, that exists. Like, that's a thing. So.
Yeah. That was the same situation for me, like starting with blogging, then doing some local meetups, then an event, then traveling abroad to talk at an event, and then suddenly finding myself having a talk opportunity from never to like 10 times a year. And then finding this posting about AWS is looking for a full-time developer advocate. It was technical evangelist back then. In Israel, and the rest is history. But yeah, as you said, I think a lot of people are very active in their day-to-day in all kinds of communities, creating great content, and they're doing other things as their main job. And I think this is one of the biggest powers of the community, that people that are in the business, they are still full-time developers or architects or DBAs or AI engineers or anything like that, and they contribute to the community. So I think there is a great balance always between those that are doing that as full-time job and those that are actually working with the community and contributing.
Yeah.
And yes, that can be addictive. I absolutely support that.
Yeah,
a dream job for many people, and was really a hard decision to do something else right now.
I agree. I mean, I always say, because I started my career as a software developer and engineer. For the first 10 years, I was building software, and I love it. And I always tell people, like, I miss coding full time, because I didn't left the software developer role because I didn't like it. I left it because I thought I would like a little more doing developer relation. And I was right, because like as I said, I love coding full time, but I'm also like a super social extrovert person who talk way too much in life, even if you're not paying me to do it. So I was like, wait, there is a job where I can do that.
Yeah,
so I tried it.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still a technical job. So I still call myself a developer. I still code, but I don't like put on production anymore. Or when I do, those are demos. They're not like software for someone to use them like every day. So I don't put stuff in production anymore, but I still code. It's still a technical role, but I miss coding full time. But yeah, when I put those like in a scale, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know what else I would do if it was not.
I think I did the full cycle of being a full-time developer, then going a bit to the more business development, technical business development, partnership things, which I did not code almost at all at that part. Then going to evangelism, to DevRel, actually opened a new world for me regarding being able to write code again, to do demos, to try new technologies basically every day, and make sure that I understand them right so I can share the message with others. But it always stayed on the level of demos or POCs, or working with somebody else on the talk or something like that. And now when I'm basically doing my own stuff, I'm back to full cycle of not a full-time developer, but these days it's a completely different job developing code. But I'm back to actually writing code and deploying in production, something I missed a lot for many, many years.
Yeah, I hear you. And if I really want to be honest, I mean, I always say I'm still technical, and I am, but I'm not as technical as I used to. And I just think it's like at the beginning, I was feeling like, oh my God, maybe there's something I don't do well enough, or like, it's just because like I don't, as you said, like I don't push in production anymore. I don't code full time anymore. So I'm still technical, but not like when it was my full-time job. The only thing I was doing was coding. So I can still talk tech, I can still code, I can still do demos, but I lost it a little bit. I'm not as technical as I used to. I would say technical enough to be able to do the job, be credible, have discussion with developers. But I feel like, especially because I've been doing that job for I think it's 15 years now, doing DevRel. So yeah, the last time I pushed something in prod, like really like all week long, was like 15 years ago. So yeah, there's a big difference about that. But I would be curious on your side. You just I know it's the past now, but still it's interesting. You've been at AWS for about nearly 10 years. Two questions for you. So just curious about, explaining a little bit, like what was a role of head of developer relation that are specific to one region. And my second question is like, were you reporting to my friend Jeff?
Jeff Barr?
Yeah.
No, so Jeff is part of the team, but he's not directly managing any of us.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I worked a lot with Jeff. I actually know him before AWS. I brought him to one of the conferences I was doing many years before I joined AWS. And he's a great guy and did a lot for this profession of evangelism and DevRel. So a lot of respect to Jeff. But to your question, so running a developer relation organization in a region is a super challenging and super interesting job, because when you are working in a certain region or even multiple regions which are more or less similar, the cases you're running into, the people you meet are more or less the same. Mm-hmm. And when you're running on a region, especially EMEA, which is so different, with crazy technical hubs from one end into emerging markets, on the other hand, huge industries, both technical and manufacturing and tons of other things. This is so diverse that almost every day you learn here about something new in terms of your customers, in terms of the challenges. So this is something that made me really enjoy this part. Of course, the team, I assume you know some of my colleagues in EMEA, and this is something that I really, really enjoy working with this team, with the different developer advocates in the different regions, learning from them. Like every one-on-one was basically an opportunity to learn about their market, about their customers, about their challenges. And after spending a lot of years in Israel with the great ecosystem we have here, the startup nation, as some of people call Israel, hearing other things, dealing with other type of markets was something that I really, really enjoyed. And I think this is something that I'm not sure it's super unique to EMEA, but the diversity is huge. I assume in APJ that there are other types of diversity. The Americas, once again, a huge continent, so a lot of things to learn, a lot of different type of customers, and a lot of problems.
Yeah, and as you said, it comes with challenges, but also I assume because there's some similarities, it comes with sometimes some advantages. Like in my case, depending on the role, right now I'm basically going a little bit everywhere. I'm doing a lot more things in Europe, but also covering North America. And markets are different, and sometimes when you try to do multiple things in multiple places, you're never really part of a community. You're part of a little bit of those community because you're not always at the same place. So I guess there's that kind of like benefits also to have someone local, someone who is part of like those specific region or community. Because I remember I often talk about Microsoft. It's not about sentimentality. It's just because that was my first role. And when they approached me, the reason they approached me for joining the team as a developer advocate is because where I live in Canada, I'm in the east part of Canada, in Quebec, where the first language is French, but like many people are bilingual. But depending where you live, like in Montreal, which is a big city, like people will understand if you speak in English, or if you speak a broken French, they're going to be good. But like if you go in Quebec City, it's a lot more difficult if you don't speak French. And it's also difficult if you are someone who speaks English and have French as a second language, because there's that, like, it's easier to approach people there if French is your first language. So they were looking for someone bilingual that speak French first, so they can really connect with that local community that was harder for other people to connect, that didn't have, like, in my case, like French as a first language.
Yeah, so I have a very strong opinion about localization and DevRel and how we should approach that. I absolutely agree that to be a part of the community, an active part of the community, you need to actually be there. You need to be there physically. You need to speak the language. You need to know the people. You need to join events which are not necessarily promoting the product you are evangelizing. That's the mean of being part of the community. And I can tell you that part of my decision, for example, to write a technical blog in Hebrew, was that at that time, and even today, I can count a handful of deep technical blogs in Hebrew, covering topics like cloud, AI, similar topics. And I made the decision to write it in Hebrew, knowing that I'm basically cutting my target audience into a fraction of a percent from what it can be in English or even other languages. I think the numbers are like, maybe there are 12 million people speaking Hebrew or reading Hebrew in the world totally, which is a very low number. Because it was really important for me to create content for the local community, because they can find great content, amazing content in English. Jeff Barr is writing in English, so I don't want to compete with Jeff Barr. I want to create content for people that are feeling more comfortable. And another thing I learned during the years is when you are speaking in the local language, especially in events, people feel more comfortable to approach you, to ask questions at the end of the session or even during the session, talk to you at the coffee break. And this is changing their experience dramatically. And no matter if a great speaker comes from abroad, speaks in English, people will understand the content, and especially in Israel, like there is no problem to present in English, but the communication or the non-official channels will be much weaker than somebody that you can approach in your native language. And as you said, like, city centers, large cities all over EMEA, so it doesn't matter if it's Paris or Amsterdam or many other cities, when you can do English events with no issues. But then when you're moving out of the centers, especially some areas in the world more, some areas in the world a bit less, locality is super, super important. I strongly believe in that. Not only the language, of course, other things like cultural differences, history, even technical history, industry, like going to Germany and seeing the manufacturing industry there, and then going to the Nordics and see all the startups, all the gaming companies. It's very different. You need to understand those different markets. Fred, I lost you. I don't know if you're on mute.
Yeah, no, technology is hard. I was coughing earlier, so I mute myself and I forgot to. I need like a big red button or lights that just flash. Yeah, that happens to me all the time, and I look stupid all the time. But as I always say, technology is hard, so I always forgot to unmute myself. But I was just saying, like, I agree with what you said. And I forgot the other thing that I wanted to add about that, but I assume it was something brilliant, and I just forgot about it. But with that said,
you'll remember later.
Sorry. With that said, though, I would like to talk a little bit about SpeakUp. The new business. I know the startup folks, if you're watching this or you're watching the recording, I tried to get Boaz to open up about the startup, but it's still in stealth mode, so we won't have anything about it right now, but I tried. So still we're going to talk about SpeakUp. Just curious a little bit about that, like, new endeavor, that new business. Actually, is it? Yeah, you started that about 4 months ago. So you talked a little bit about it, but like, is there anything else you want to share? Like, I'm just curious about the business itself. Like, how is it working?
Yeah, so as I said before, I see a huge gap between technology and what people are doing with technology and their ability to explain it to others. And explaining to others can be technical people and can be non-technical people. And sometimes it's even harder when you're super technical to come up with a non-technical message so it articulates well what you're doing for somebody not from your industry. I mostly focus on more tech to tech, working with people, mostly speaking in technical conferences or founders that are doing their pitches to VCs, which at least in Israel are super technical. And what I'm trying to do is to bridge the gap. So that can be something as simple as coming for hour and a half, doing a dry run for your next talk in your next event, and finding the 3 or 5 things that we can improve to make it a better talk. And then I I'm leaving, you're doing the talk, and we are done. But usually the interaction is much deeper in terms of working with people for long term, helping them to build the messaging, to build the content, to improve it, and eventually do the speaker training part, which a lot of people are doing. But I don't think this is the main part of what I'm good at, or my experience is coming. Yes, I did a lot of talks. I spent a lot of hours on stages, the biggest stages developer advocate can imagine. I delivered the keynote in the Tel Aviv Summit, which is one of the biggest summit of AWS, for 2 years in a row. So I know how to do it end to end, but I think the part of taking the technology, taking the story, or not even the story, the bits and pieces, the Lego bricks you have that you're building with, and creating a story out of it. This is something I really enjoy working with customers about. And of course, there are longer term relationships when I'm basically becoming part of the team and doing some consulting work for long term, for every feature, for every release, trying to make sure that the messaging is right, that it's right for the right people, finding the right events, creating content for them, and so on.
I like that. I do it once in a while, more like in giving back to the community. So it's not a business for me, and I don't have time to do it often. So I like that there are people like you say, like, hey, you know what? Like, if you take this like seriously to the next level, let's do an exchange. Like, pay me to do that, but like you're gonna get something really amazing out of it. Because I always say, and feel free to disagree, but I always say that like everybody can be a public speaker. It doesn't mean that everybody is good at being a public speaker, but like everybody can go on the stage. If you're good, that's a different story. But I still feel it's important. I really try to be honest right now about that. When I started as a developer advocate, that was my ego. Like, I wanted to be on stage because of my ego. I mean, like, people's going to see me. I'm going to be the expert. I was going to develop my personal branding, and those were all true. Obviously, I wanted to help people too. Like, I'm not just like super narcissistic about those things, like not just my ego, but like that was part of it. But I also still firmly believe that it's important to have visibility, not just online, but also offline. So for a company, for a startup, you can have the best product out there. You can have the best service out there. If people do not know that you exist, you're not going to be successful. And as much as I think it's easier to scale online, and you still can create connection with people online. As an example, we're talking about Jeff. I quote unquote know Jeff for more than 10 years. We met for the first time in person like a month ago because we were never in the same city, but we're connected online. I consider him like someone I know, but we never met in person. So there's a way for you to build relation online. But once you connect with people offline, this is where I think the connection goes to the next level. So for a company, for a startup, being on a stage, being visible, even if you don't talk about your product, even if it's because most conferences don't like product pitches. So even if you talk about something else that is useful for the audience, when I do that, I'm still Fred from Tiny MCE. Even when I do non-technical talks at events like and I stopped talking about that because I want your opinion on this, but I think last week, I forgot my schedule, but I think last week, I was in Amsterdam. I spoke at React Amsterdam meetup, and they asked me to do talk about mental health, which is not technical at all, but it is something that I like to talk once in a while when organization give me the opportunity to do that. And that was non-technical. That was not even about tech. That was not even targeted specifically to tech people, even if I had like a part about AI. At the end of the day, that was unrelated at all. It was mental health, but I was still Fred from Tiny MCE, and I still brought benefits to my employer, to my company of doing that. So just saying, I think it's important for a company to be out there, go to conferences, have booths sponsor, but also do public speaking. And there's not only conferences, there's meetups too. There's like all the meetups. They're looking for someone nearly every month, at least 1, 2, 3 speakers per month. So yeah, just reach out and try it.
Yeah, the meetup like ecosystem is huge. In Tel Aviv, the probably 5 technical meetups every night. Sorry. No so if you're looking for places to start your speaking career, I think this is a great opportunity. I just want to go back to a few things that you just said. I think it's not only stages. I think that COVID taught us a big lesson about being good in online as well. I still remember myself switching like 100% from a busy schedule 6 months ahead of travel to events to zero travel and 8 hours a day in the studio just talking to a camera to myself.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So doing it right, like delivering the right message on video is important as well. I think I learned so much in those 2 years about how to produce myself. Hopefully, like the video is nice, the sound is nice. I learned how to do it right, and that helps a lot of people as well. So not only stages, it's like stage is not the only place to deliver your message. And actually videos, podcasts, which I really enjoy doing, everything eventually you need to come prepared. I think this is a very important part of what I'm trying to bring to my customers, that there is no shortcut. There are no shortcuts. You need to work hard. You need to prepare. You need to know what you're saying, what you're doing, and what's the value for your audiences. And I think that the value is the bottom line. As you said, there are a lot of people that can talk, should talk, know how to talk, do it better, do it worse. I constantly try to make sure that it's not only about myself. It's not me talking about the great product I developed or delivered. It doesn't really matter. And by the way, as you said, it doesn't have to be pitching my company. I can go to a super technical CNCF conference, talk about a nice trick of Kubernetes that I discovered, and we are deploying it with millions of containers in production. The trick there is to make sure that I'm not talking about how great I am, that I discover it and I'm deploying it in production, but what will be the value at the end of the talk for people that are attending and spending their very precious time, like those 45 minutes talking, listen to me talk. It's super critical, and this is where I'm trying to make it as accurate as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you're totally right. I default to stages because this is one of the things I like to do. I like to do a lot, and this is what I'm doing a lot right now in my current role. But yeah, any places, podcast, live stream, webcam, like just video recording that you're going to publish on YouTube, like all those places are public speaking. All those places are like how you can help other to like educate them about specific topics, share about your own product, share about your own services. And yeah, the difference is, as you said, like people, the only real currency that we all have that is like really finite is time. So why should I give you 45 minutes of my time? Why should I watch your video, even if it's just 5 minutes? Why should I give you 5 minutes of my time? Like, what's in for me? So this is always how I approach. Like when I create a talk or a video, is like, okay, what are the benefits of like watching this or listening to me? Like, what the people will get at the end of like whatever I'm doing right now? And I think that's a great approach.
Yeah, and I think it's something that people connect really well to this message, especially people that doing it for the first time or not very experienced, like doing it as their day job. So this is something that I found that there is a gap and people want to close this gap. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk for you, but like for me, as much as I still love doing that, I mean, people must be bored to always see my whole face on the stage or on the videos. Like, I would like to have like other people do that. So I'm trying to like bring other people on the stage, bring other people in front of the camera, because people have like different approach, a different personality, have a different story to tell, and so there's space for everyone. As I said before, like you can like even if you think you may be not the best expert about a topic, even if you think you may not be the best person, you need to start somewhere. You should have seen the first talks that I've gave. They were terrible, but you need to start somewhere and you get better at it and you get some experience. And at some point you get better. And there's always someone better than you about something, but like, do you have enough knowledge that you can share it with someone else? If the answer is yes, it's fine. So one last thing about that.
If the answer is yes, just do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So one last question about that, because it's your business. So what would you say to someone who would like to start? Like, is there tips you want to share, or just like
So I'm actually sharing a lot. So you already showed on the screen the link to the LinkedIn page of SpeakUp, and I actually post at least once a month, sometimes more, sometimes a bit less, depending on how busy I am. I post on LinkedIn articles about public speaking. The last one I did was actually as a result of a meetup I went to 2 weeks ago, watching some people doing, like, there were 3 talks. All of them did the demo, and I had something to say about each of these demos. So I just wrote a post and actually spoke with some of the speakers to give them feedback. And not necessarily that they didn't do that, but it gave me like the right perspective of what you should focus on demo. So that's the right piece I did. So if you're doing a demo in the next talk or in the near future, go read this post, like 3 very short tips about what you should focus on when doing doing the demo and making sure that you deliver the right message to your audiences. And actually, most of it is based on things that I constantly see on events, people doing the same mistakes. Once again, like usually it's not like a big foul, but it can be much better and give you more time. And in live, especially in live demos, give you the confidence that it's actually going to work the way you want it and not risk it too much. I love live demos. Like, I want to be clear about it. I'm doing a lot of live demos, but there are some tricks and there are some things you should do to make it safer for you and for the audience.
Yeah, I agree, because I like doing live demos. I usually don't do super long live demos because different reasons. Almost so not someone who's going to watch people code on Twitch or something like that. I don't like that. But like during a talk, like part of your talk, there's a demo and it's live instead of you recording like a video or display video that you recorded before. I like that. But yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong. And there's nothing that is a bigger waste of my time as an attendee that watch you debug your stuff for 15 minutes. So like put some fail safe and have like a plan B if something goes wrong, because it's like, I don't want, unless your talk is about debugging and testing, I don't want you to see like debugging stuff on the stage. Like, just show me how it's working. Just show me your demo. This is what I want to see when you do live coding. So.
Yeah. And from the other end, like when people are going on stage and showing code, and they want to focus on 2 or 3 lines of the code, and they're showing you a full screen of boilerplate loading functions and doing CSS, which has nothing to do with what you're trying to actually show them, that doesn't work as well. I don't want to scare people about doing live demos, the opposite. But even when you're doing that, it has to have a purpose. It has to have a value that you deliver to your audience, and it should be very, very clear value.
Yeah, because you can be sure that, like, if you have like, I don't know, like 30 lines of code and you just want to show 2-3 lines, people will check the 30 lines of code. And during that time, they won't listen to what you want to talk about. So this is the same thing when I coach people and like they have slides with all those bullet points. I'm like, first, why are you on stage if I can read your slides? Like, you're not useful. And secondly, while you're trying to tell me other stuff that are not on their slides, I'm reading the slides because you put that in my face with text. I'm going to read them. So anyway, I would assume we could do a whole show about like speaker tips. It's something that I
maybe we should one day.
Yeah, actually, I think we should. With that said, though, 2 developer relations people talking, we can do that forever. I think it's time for us to move to the demo part, and I'm really looking forward to it because it could relate. It could be a tool that I could use in my day-to-day, going in events, sponsoring events, having booths. We always try to find ways to like get people excited to come talk to us, even if they have no idea who we are or no idea what we do. So you're going to talk about BoothLoader.
Yes, I am. Actually, something that I created just recently. And I think that the origin story is my day-to-day as a DevRel in events, and working with a lot of marketing teams about what's the ROI of going to this event? What are we getting out of it? Should we go? Should we send more people? Should we send less people? Should we invest more in the booth or other activities in swag and everything around it? I did countless number of events in the last 10 years and even before that. And eventually, I was constantly trying to find better ways to engage people. And I saw some activities and some of the things others are doing and connected everything I learned in the last few years into a system that was, at the beginning, it was an excuse for me to actually go work with Cloud Code, which is something that I did less when I was in AWS. I was using mostly Kiro, so I wanted to learn a bit about other tools. So I tried Cursor, and then I focused on Cloud Code. And I was just looking for an excuse to build something. And then I came up with this idea of actually building a system for people going to events, for marketing teams, for DevRel that are going to events. And usually what's happening in those events that you have a booth, you spend a lot of money on those booths. I put 75K, but if you went to one of the large conferences like I don't know, We Are Developers or reInvent, you probably we're talking in the six figures, a lot of money, high six figures for a medium-sized booth, not even the largest ones, and you spend a lot of money on that. And then the outcome of it, so there is a brand awareness, which is great, but these days people want to see ROI. People want to see ROI. People want to see what is the value of spending those ridiculous amounts of money on going to an event, all the travel, all the time. So it's not only the direct cost, it's everything around that. And usually you're coming back with a list of leads. And if you have a very good sales team on site, like on the floor of the event, they will talk to some people, they will qualify them or semi-qualify them during the event, but the number of people they can approach is very, very limited. So even if they're talking 8 hours a day, and I know some of those salespeople that can do that, and then they can't speak for a week because of that after spending 3 days event, you're getting very basic information about the people that visit you. You scan badges, you maybe collect business cards, maybe doing something else, but at the end of the day, you have a list of names and emails and maybe companies and titles, but not more than that. And then when you want to start measuring the ROI, you need to start calling those people and create opportunities and convert them into leads and so on and so forth. And this is very hard work because going to a large event, you can come up with, I don't know, 2,000 people in your leads list. And then who do you call first? Who is the highest potential for something like that? And this is exactly why I created BoothLoader. So BoothLoader is a system that I wrote to go and create a gamified experience in your booth, and then basically to connect the lead capturing, which is part of the experience, and the skills or whatever you want to get out of the participant, and connect them into something that you can actually then see what's the value. So it's not only a lead, a name, title, and company. It's actually coming with a score, and the score is super relevant to what you're looking for. So if you're a development company and looking for people with experience with Python, or you want to filter out developers out of other roles or something like that, you create activity that the activity is the filter itself. And then at the end of the day, what you're coming out of the event is not just a list of people, it's a list of people with their matching score or a flag, an indicator regarding the option that they are going to be the right people to go back to them at the end of the event. So this is the basic idea. I created a series of games that they are actually the filters. So you can do a trivia, you can do a code challenge, a binary classifier, and some others. And by designing those games, you're basically creating the filters. So each customer that is going to an event can design his own game, can adjust it to whatever needs possible that will give him those markers that eventually will say if this is a good lead or not a good lead, and then deploy it as part of the booth. Those activities, those games can be played on any device. So you can put tablets, laptops, flat screen TVs, or anything like that. You can do it even on participants' mobile phones by providing them a QR code. And then during the event, people are participating, they're playing, they're leaving their leads and their knowledge, and you're going back with much better information to follow up from this event and improving the ROI and something that you can actually prove. Because we know that those events have ROI. It's very hard to put a number on it. So there are all kinds of ways to estimate it, how accurate they are really depends. Here you're getting something that helps you to make it much more accurate and allow you to actually come back with better information. I'm just going to show a few screens from the dashboard of BoothLoader. So basically, it's a very simple system. You can set it up for an event in probably less than 10 minutes. As a customer, you have a dashboard, which is not loading now. It's loading. This is my dashboard. I have all my events here. I have my leads. I have status, and then I have the event page itself. So I created here a test event in London on May 13, and I have activities in this event, which are actually the game. This is the game definition. You can actually go and set it up. There are links here. There are links to the leaderboard, and I try to provide things that I, as somebody running booths all over the world, ran into, like privacy policy. You need to provide a privacy policy. You need to make sure that this privacy policy is the right for the location of the event. There are things you can do in the US that you can't do in Europe or other parts of the world. So you can generate your privacy policy here. You can adjust it. You can upload your own. You can brand the activity with your logo and with your colors. And eventually, at the end of the day, you're going to get some leads. So I'm the only player here. So that's the only information. But as you can see, it's not only the lead itself. It's coming with a score. So I know I'm 820, which doesn't mean anything right now. But in a second, it will hopefully make some more sense.
I mean, that sounds good.
Yeah. And you can actually go and start calling people back based on this list. I created for this show a game. So if you scan this QR code, you can actually go and play one of the games. It's a binary classifier. You're getting a snippet of code that was generated by AI, and you should say if you accept or reject this code. Once again, very short, 6 questions, yes, no, or accept, reject. You're getting a score. The score is based on the right or wrong answer and the speed of your answer. So there is an element of competition there. And then after you're actually playing this game, there is a leaderboard, which I can show you over here. I'm the only one right now, but I would be more than happy to see people breaking this amazing 820 score that I got, but I know the answers. So feel free to play. And I'm in a phase when I'm trying to figure out what to do with this. So I basically give it away for people to try for free. So if you're going to an event, you want to have a gaming activity, and this is something that looks interesting to you, contact me. We'll talk. I'll share with you how to go on the platform and start using it. Next steps, TBD. If it will become a product, a business, or something else, I don't know yet, but I really enjoy the process of building it, getting feedback, adjusting it. I have a few friends that are already playing with it for the last few months. It's been around for the last 2.5, 3 months. I keep updating the system with their feedback. I keep doing new types of activities. Somebody came to me and say, look, this is great, but if you go to executive event, no CTO, CIO, we go and play a trivia game. So I did a survey. So now there is an option to do surveys, which is pretty straightforward. You can do a demo, which is basically capturing the lead and sending the attendee somewhere else on your platform so they can actually do a demo. So it connects the demo with the lead. So, this person actually did the demo and this is all the information about him. You can even do spin the wheel, something we did last year in AWS in many events for prizes. And then the question is, why are you doing that? What is the indicator, your lead indicator in spin the wheel? So the answer is, if you're planting inside the spin the wheel things like 10% discount or 20% discount, and people actually using this discount, this is a great indicator for them to become a customer. So a lot of options that
I like that.
To make your booth much more interesting and loud. Think about putting this leaderboard on a large TV and giving at the end of every day, if you are in multiple day event, a huge Lego for the winner, and then the next day starting again. This is something that works. I saw it many times. If you're doing it right, it will create a buzz. It will bring people, and it will eventually spread across the event as something that worth trying.
Yeah, I like that. Hopefully when you go to the dashboard, you're going to see that my score is 0 because I didn't, like, I was trying to, like, I scanned the badge, I was looking at you, listening, and I was like, oh shit, there's a timer. Like, I didn't even had the time to check the code.
Timer is just bonus, by the way. You can the timer can end, it won't progress to the next one. The timer is just a bonus, so don't get this.
Okay, good. No, I like that, and especially because you have different ways to do that, because I was listening to you and I was like, oh, that's a great product. May not apply to me because at TinyMC right now, like the end users are not developers, meaning that like they're for people that like it's a rich text editor or WYSIWYG. So the end user is going to be the people who create the content, but it's targeted to developer in the sense that like, hey, if you need in your application that you're building to have your end users creating rich text content, you don't want to build that yourself. So you just had 2-3 lines of JavaScript and you're good to go. But because it's JavaScript, it doesn't really matter if you understand JavaScript. It doesn't really matter the language you're using, as long as you can use, like, even if you build with PHP, you can have JavaScript. You can use TinyMC. So for me, it's less about the skills of like the people like talk to, the skills of the developer, which was different when, let's say, when I was in the cloud native space, where like I wanted someone who had knowledge around Kubernetes, because I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense for you to use my product. Yeah. But right now it's not the case. But I still need to understand like if there is some interest to you. So as you said with the quiz, or like even the spin the wheel, which makes sense. Like if you spin the wheel, you have like a rebate or coupon code and you use it to try the product. You're like, okay, there is interest to you versus the rest of the people. And the thing with events, if you're listening to us and you don't do a lot of events, is that, yeah, there's so many attendees, and sometimes you can talk to most of the people that come to your booth, depending on the attendance, depending on the popularity of your booth. But last week we were at JS World, we were 4 people at the booth, and it's not even like an AWS reInvent. It's a big JavaScript conference, but it's not a huge conference. And on the first day, with 4 people at the booth, we were not able to have all the discussion that we wanted with people because it was so popular. We had so many people. Right. So we end up with a list of leads, and we were able to qualify some auth leads or some code leads with the people we talked to. But there's also a bunch of people that are just like generic leads that we have basically no idea if they're really interested or not, because yeah, there's a limit to like how many people you can talk in an event, no matter how many people you have at your booth, because there is always more attendees than there is people at booth duty.
That's a scaling issue. That's a classic scaling issue. Like you can bring more people, but there is probably a cap for the number of people you can bring, number of people that can be in the booth. So something like that can scale your event 10x easily in terms of qualifying leads. And the comment earlier regarding is it developers or not, I got it a lot at the beginning. And with some discussions I had with potential customers, at the end, you can probably create activities that will allow you to better understand your customers, even if they are not developers. Mm-hmm. So it's basically around the question you ask them and the exact type of game you're playing. So like think about this binary classifier. It can be yes, no questions regarding something that's related to your domain. Now, after having this discussion and actually people having an aha moment saying, oh yeah, I can ask anything. It doesn't have to be a code. Yeah. There is a code challenge, by the way. There is a specific game for code challenge because it's very popular, but people understand that they can ask anything. Then they say, okay, so now the heavy lifting is actually creating the game, like writing the questions, doing the answers. So I did not implement like a full LLM backend support for that, but I have skill files that you can just download. I can share it with people for each one of the games that will walk you through creating the game, will ask you the right questions, like how many questions for who the game is, what's the level of the questions, like deep tech or non-tech or anything like that. Then they will create a JSON file that you just copy paste into the dashboard, and you're done. Like using code assistants or any LLM out there to create those challenges, and would save you time. And today it's not a big challenge to implement the system. It just didn't have the time to do that and dive deep into it. Another thing I have on my to-do list is to have something like base 44, lovable style mechanism to allow people to create their own activities.
Okay. I love that. So yeah, no, there's I like that first you just had fun to do it. So hopefully you're going to be successful, but even if it's not the case, at least you have pleasure to build it. I think that's a great tool. As we talked before, now we just need to continue to promote it so people know that it exists. So that's great. And yeah, as you said, I think just the scalable part is super important. Even without qualifying the leads, like just the scalable part is important, because we're talking about even if you bring more people to the booth, the last CNCF events I've done, like AWS, as an example, had like a huge booth with, I don't know, 15 people, 20 people. Yeah. And they were, I'm pretty sure I can say with confidence that they were not able to have all the discussion that they wanted with everybody, because there is still a lot more attendees and it's a big event. But also the qualification of the lead, which is like probably what is even more important for people, like having like a good way to qualify people a little bit more easily than let's have like a 10-minute discussion about whatever you do and what you need. So love it, people. Give it a try. It's BoothLoader.com. If you have any question, you know how to reach out. My friend here, yeah. He's on LinkedIn. Is going to be able to answer your question. And on that note, I think it brings us to the end of the show. So thanks a lot for being a guest. That was a pleasure having you. I know it was due for a long time, but
we talked about it for more than a year, I think.
I know, and now I feel bad because I still promote like, hey, if you want to be a guest on the show, just let me know, because always nice to connect with other developer advocates, whether I know them in person or not. But right now, I have about 2 years of wait list of like guests for the show, which is, don't get me wrong, it's a bragging moment. It's a bragging moment. It's a good problem to have. It just sucks because when people are like, hey, Fred, I saw the DevRel show, would like to be a guest. I'm like, cool. Can you wait about 2 years? At some point, maybe like my goal was to do this every other weeks. Now because I travel a lot more since I joined TinyMC, I started to travel again a lot more. So it's not always every 2 weeks. It also delays stuff. Maybe I just try to, I don't want to do it when I'm traveling, but maybe I should just try to do it even every week when I'm at home, so I can have more guests. Because it's not that much work for me, if I want to be honest. The show is like the guests are doing all the work with like answering my question when I have discussion, doing the demo. For me, it's just creating the thumbnail, doing the promotion, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you. Any last word you want to share with people?
No, it was real fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm happy it finally happened. That's I like the concept of talking about something I really, really enjoy. The DevRel, the community, is very big part of what I'm doing and part of my success and why I'm still waking up in the morning. So thank you very much for having me.
That's amazing. So I wish you, good luck with BoothLoader, with SpeakUp, with the new startup that we don't know anything about yet, but I'm really excited. I'm excited. I know nothing about it. I'm just waiting for you to drop some something like when it's gonna go public.
I will.
So yeah, wish you good luck with that. And on that note, thanks everybody who joined us live. I know that was a little bit earlier than usually, but always try to adapt with the cast. I didn't want Boaz to join us at like 3 a.m. For the show. It wouldn't make sense. It's time. So thanks for joining us live. And thanks, obviously, also to the people who's going to watch the recording. And I wish you all a great rest of the day. And I think I should probably know those things, but I think the next episode is going to be, let me check on my stuff. It's going to be in June only. So because I have other trips in between and it was not able to do that. So the next episode is going to be on June 4 with Nihal Dihan as my guest. So folks, see you in about 3 weeks. Bye, everyone.